Ejected. And a put-away punch.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. It is the GOAT Show, and not just because you have Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. How about this for a lineup, fellas? We got Joe Montana joining us live. I cannot wait for that. Never had the chance to interview him. And Amanda Nunes. So we're going to have a good time here today on First Take. But, fellas, it looks like the Suns had a good time last night. Let's talk about it. Devin Booker putting in work, taking down the Lakers at Staples by 10. Take a look at the Western Conference standings now. The Jazz are in first place, followed by the Suns and the Lakers, round out the top three, and then the Clippers. So the Suns win. Max, do you think this is a big deal or no big deal?
No big deal. And the reason the Suns are a big deal, and we thought that coming into the season, but this win, no big deal. And the reason is they're playing a depleted Lakers team. The Lakers team, this is not really the Lakers. First of all, you have AD out. And I and many people were pointing out, without Schroeder especially at the time, that's devastating because the Lakers really need that other playmaker in the backcourt. Schroeder comes back, the Lakers cruise to a win. It looks like, oh, maybe all LeBron needs is Schroeder in the backcourt with him. And with what else he has, he can figure it out. But actually, they were also missing Gasol, and they were also missing Kuzma. And they were playing a powerhouse team in the Suns. I know Devin Booker gets ejected and all that stuff, but he's not the only one. He's the focal point. They spent a lot of defensive energy on him and Chris Paul. But those guys can move the ball, find open guys, Bridges and Crowder and Saric and Cam Johnson, and not to mention Ayton. You know, like they have a whole lot, that team. So the Suns are a powerhouse. And look, they went 8-0 in the bubble before they got Chris Paul. And we knew they were going to be a powerhouse this year. But this particular win against the Lakers team coming to the All-Star break with now LeBron has to miss the next game because he's ailing. Not just down AD, but down Kuzma and down Marc Gasol. I'm not going to read too much into this.
I will, and I'm going to say it's a big victory, and I'm going to say that because Devin Booker got ejected, which, by the way, is a different story for another day. We've got to look into this. I mean, the NBA officiating. I'm not going to even point to the officiating. I'm going to talk to the heavy hand that the league has given them to hand down upon players. Let's just take this into consideration, y'all. We've been ravaged by a global pandemic. You don't have fans in attendance. It's depressing enough to watch these guys perform without fans in attendance. Yet they go out on the court, they go all out, they play their hearts out. They act like it's 20,000 people in attendance. They're doing all of this stuff, and then you sit up there and a team that has been dormant for years is on the rise. The fourth-ranked defense in the National Basketball Association, led by Monty Williams, who, by the way, is another Coach of the Year candidate. What a sensational job he is doing as head coach of the Phoenix Suns. You got a star in Devin Booker who had no business not being picked for the All-Star game by the coaches. He's averaging 25 a game. And yes, there is no Anthony Davis, Max, but there's still LeBron James. And Devin Booker is on the other side of the court. And that is what warrants an ejection. I mean, there was nothing demonstrative. There were no fists being thrown or anything like that. We couldn't even figure it out. And you're going to eject this guy for a nationally televised game. Just no regard whatsoever for the fans. And that's where the NBA needs to be called out about this. Just no regard for the fans in this particular situation. You don't think about the fact that it's a nationally televised game and we want to see Devin Booker and you're just going to eject him over something like that? It's utterly ridiculous. Having said all of that, the Phoenix Suns still showed up and showed out and handled their business. And I understand that the Lakers were shorthanded, but without Devin Booker, aren't they supposed to be shorthanded? With CP3 only hitting one field goal the entire game, although he registered 10 assists. Is that not a big deal? But I'm looking at Mikal Bridges. I'm looking at Saric. I'm looking at the rest of these cats, even a Jay Crowder and all of these boys. And I'm just saying to myself, excuse me, the Phoenix Suns are coming. Best record in the NBA since late January. 15 of their last 18 games they've won. They play defense. They go at it. And I just love the fact that they're on the rise and they're doing what they're doing. Because, again, if they had been a team that had been there all of this time, Max, then it would not have been a big deal that they beat the Lakers. But the fact that they're just now ascending from bubble play to now, and you see them continuing to get better and better. You see how exceptionally well coached they are. You see how exceptional of a defensive team they are. You recognize the star that is Devin Booker, because he is a star. Make no mistake about it. And I just love what I'm seeing right now, man. I'm just looking at these guys right here. And Ayton, by the way, he finished with 17 points. This brother can play. Big boy can play. Obviously, he was picked before Luka Doncic, Trae Young, and those boys. And so we sit up there and look at him along with his injured history, and we say, what's the big deal? But the brother can play. The brother can play. And so I'm just happy with what I'm seeing right now, and I'm going to give him props where it's due.
Bunch of things based on what you just said. First, Devin Booker gets ejected. And by the way, Stephen A., not just consideration for the fans, because if he deserves to be ejected, he deserves to be ejected. But what was that first whistle about? And then after the game, they say constant complaining. You tee him up for, that's basically nothing. And then he directed something at an official they didn't like. 2 whistles and you're out. Come on. But at that time, so we're on the same page about that. But at that time, the Suns had a lead. Like, they were controlling the game and they had a lead. I think they were up like 7. We're talking about the third quarter. It's not like they played the whole game without Devin Booker. And the Suns are a deeper team than the Lakers in terms of their talent that would be in most rotations. Talent that would start on a lot of teams. They're deeper in that sense than the Lakers, who in addition to not having a lot of those guys, like, LeBron and AD may be better than anyone they have, but the next 5 or 6 or 7 players on the list would all be from the Suns. And the Lakers are shorthanded. That's why I'm discounting it. Got to say this about the Suns. They're a high IQ team in addition to everything else. You look at Chris Paul and Devin Booker, the court vision that Devin Booker has. Of course, we know about Chris Paul, the connection between Chris Paul and a guy like Saric. If you you have legit 3-and-D guys. They're legit, and we knew this coming into the season. It's not like this is some kind of new information. I'm just saying, if the Lakers, and by the way, LeBron did his thing, like he started hitting threes late in the game. He just didn't have enough with him. And based on that game, I'm not convinced, for example, if AD's back, the Suns are going to beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. Excellent win by an excellent team, but it doesn't change my thinking about anything. I can't call it a big deal win.
Well, I say it changed my thinking from the standpoint that I'm going to look at Phoenix with a level of seriousness I may not have looked at them before. Even though I saw them in bubble play and then I saw them earlier this season, the fact that they're on this kind of tier, beating the teams that they've beaten, along with the leadership of CP3, combined with the fact that Devin Booker has emerged as a star, that's it. That's valid in and of itself. But forgive me for taking a moment to give props to Monty Williams. You see, because we just lamented the other day the paucity of African American coaches in the National Basketball Association, the National Football League, and what have you. Look at the job that Monty Williams is bringing. And by the way, notable names that have been assistants for years or have been scouts for years, the Willie Greens of the world that were once in Golden State, the Mark Bryants of the world, the Randy Ayers, people like that. My brother, the former head coach for the Philadelphia 76ers, former head coach at Ohio State University. You're just seeing some of the personnel on their staff, and I just can't say enough about Monty Williams, man. So many people talk about this guy as a character guy. Obviously, he's a great, great person and what have you, and worked under Popovich and others. But the job that he is doing as head coach of the Phoenix Suns cannot go unnoticed. Think about what we were saying about this team before he arrived. They were on a fast track to nowhere. We were lamenting the fact that Devin Booker had to sign a long-term deal there to make sure he got his money, et cetera, et cetera. And look, in just a year and a half or so there, look at the job that this man is doing along with his coaching staff in the Phoenix Suns. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm very proud. I'm very, very proud of what I'm seeing from those brothers down in Phoenix. Up in Phoenix, rather.
No question. No question, guys. The Suns haven't been in the postseason in a decade. I think that's going to change this season. That's